Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna try to mess with another collection of notes this time. So I'm kind of noodling around here, thinking to myself in a mixolydian, which kind of moves this shape. Shape number one, you can think of it as basically moving up to the B. So it would be like the B minor shape if you measure it by collection number one. But it's gonna be, I'm sorry, it's gonna be a mixolydian, or in other words, it's gonna be the D collection of notes around the key of D is the way I would frame it, you know. But I'm focused, but I usually play a mixolydian.
So you're on the D collection notes. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. If you're grabbing the A, that's the fourth of the D collection. So yeah, A mixolydian. But the shape you like is still a B minor triad. B, D, F sharp.
Exactly.
Which is just the second chord in that collection. So it's perfectly legal. Just remember, you're not in A anymore. You're in D. So that B minor...
And I'll do that. I'm going to do that when I map out our routine here. I'm going to try to map it out. I'm thinking to map it out into see the same shape in both collections of notes. So maybe I would think one of the biggest critiques people would have of me is that I'm focusing all my time on the one collection of notes because I'm trying to focus on learning the pattern. But I think I'm good enough, you know, and there's some credit to that. Maybe that's a critique of myself, my critique of myself. But I think I'm like here now at the point where I can basically name at least two shapes at the same time and possibly learn, you know, two shapes at the same time. That's what I'm thinking. So we'll practice.
That's the right...
Right, Aura?
So try it. Play the same shape in D and A at once. Let your fingers overlap both worlds. Then name them out loud. That's C and D, V and A. Do that 10 times. Next month, you'll be doing 3 shapes across 4 keys. It's not about knowing everything. It's about seeing patterns like they're people and trusting they'll show up when you need them.
I'm more worried about the people showing up when I don't need them. Showing up.
That's the real talent.
Ready to
Knowing
take
when
me
to
out.
mute your own. Fade out. Fade. gone. Not really. I'm still here, just waiting for the next chord.
Alright, so that's what I'm going to do this time. So let's see, I'm going to still kind of waking up here. So what I'm going to do, I've got on the bottom of the screen now, I was focusing in on this string, and I really want to keep my process of looking at the fretboard as succinctly as possible with just the numbers on it representing the nodal points. And then on the top of the fretboard, I have the cheat sheet that shows you the first side of each fret, which gives us kind of like the point in terms of the nodal point, the nodal letter, and then the note name and the note letter, and then the second side giving us distance in terms of the first number being half steps, then the nodal point, and then the modal half steps, and then the scale degree. So that's great, and then I think it's really useful to like build out the chord on each of these nodes like I'm doing right now, because then that helps me to see the whole shape from the perspective of each node, and then kind of noodle with my fingering more specifically on each of those points, and then work on my naming convention. But now that I have that down fairly well, I'm thinking I can do two at the same time. So this on this tab is the C, and then I'll switch over here. Now up, can you see up at the top? Let me see. No, right there at the top I have a C in the red. So that's going to be the collection of notes around the key of C instead of it being a 0 for the 0 fret. And then over here I'm going to switch to the D, so that red number changed to a D now. So now I'm on this red number is a D, so this is going to be the collection of notes here, and you can see it's the same collection, or that number 3 basically just moved up to this nodal point now. So now I'm on this nodal point up here. I was on this nodal point. Was I working on the Phrygian last time? I think I was, right? So I was on Phrygian fret number 5, and then you'll get the same shape up here, Phrygian fret number 7. So we'll see the exact same shape, which is easy for us to name. So, but obviously when you're actually fingering it, it becomes more difficult because now the open strings will be different, and my hands gotta memorize that even though the shape's the same, I'm at a different part of the neck, and obviously the frets are wider or thinner, and I'm gonna run into the wall up here, and I'm gonna run into the wall back here as I shift up between different keys. So maybe if I got really good, I can actually list out basically all collections of notes, or maybe like 6 collections of notes at a time, and then map out the same exact modal points or nodal points, and then practice my hand position on them with each of those frets if you wanted to kind of scale up what would be a very efficient way, I feel like, of learning multiple collections of notes once you have the concept down. And so that's kind of what I'll try to expand on now. So I'm on here, and then last time I couldn't do a lean forward chord because there's no note down here. I went to the reach forward chord with the first modal whole step, second modal half step, third scale degree here. So I can then go maybe to a lean back chord, a reach back chord, let's say, which has the open position for the first modal half step, second modal whole step, third scale degree, the 3 note away distance back here. So that is interesting because I can play with that. And then because I'm still going to define it as a lean back chord because the note is back there for the first modal half step, second modal whole step, third scale degree, but because it's on an open string, I can focus on leaning forward. And then when I go to this nodal point, notice it moved up, so if I'm doing the same shape, it's still the 3 and the 5. That's the beauty of the naming convention, but now we're in the collection of notes around the key of C. So the actual notes are different, but I'm now thinking of it in terms of the same kind of shape. And when I look at it this way, I have to reach back between these two shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a long reach because this tectonic plate shifted forward. So normally it would be a lesser of a reach. So maybe that's even too long for me to really be messing with, but well, that's what I'll play with. We'll tinker around and see what we can do with that. If I go 7 back to 2, 5, 6, 7 back to 2. Yeah, it's basically all I could do if I did that.
Yeah, that's the smart route. Same shape, 2 keys. So here's what I see. You're treating the neck like a slide rule. Move 1 fret up, bump the red letter to D, and the same 3-note chord just changed key. No new intervals, no new fingers, just a new letter on top. And the real trick is when you add the open string. That lean back third is open on C, but on D, it's now a different note, different tension. So do this. Play the 2 shapes at the same speed, one after the other. C version, D version. Count 4 beats, switch.
Okay,
Count
let me, you're right, but let me modify this. I'm gonna say normally I would do a lean back shape, like if this was here, from this back to here, because that's reachable 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back, and I can still reach other stuff doing that. But if I reach all the way back 5 frets back, that's pretty much all I can do. So there's not much else I could do at the same time of reaching that on this one. So let's try to do an easier one to start this concept out with, and say I'm gonna do a lean back chord. So I'm gonna go from the 1 to the 3 this way, and then that will match this way, and I'll see the shape is exactly the same, but I might have different things I can reach around it.
3 fret back. That's reachable. Do it. From the nodal point, count 3 back to the 3. Then switch keys. No drama. Now, once you own that, layer 1 more finger. Use your pinky on the 5, ring on the 3, index on the root.
That's what I'll do. All right, so let's
do it.
I'll tell a quick joke first. This joke wasn't that good because I wasn't feeling too inspired last night, but it's basically a fat joke, which if that's offensive, then I apologize. But note that since we're still experimenting with the idea that everybody can't get canceled for anything right now, I feel like when I was growing up, the fat jokes just were kind of maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I was raised up by The Simpsons and Married with Children, right? Those two shows basically raised me. So so it's like so and I mean the Married with Children had like fat jokes was just a staple of the thing, and so you're not supposed to actually take offense to it, you know. I think that's not, you're kind of missing. It's kind of like mama jokes. You're not supposed to, like, you're not actually supposed to get mad at the mama jokes. Misses the point. So anyways, but I feel like, so I'll see if we could, see if I can do a joke on that, see if I get canceled on it. I don't think anymore, right? Because we're past that point now. We can, Married with Children has been banned. I notice you can get any show anywhere, but you can't find Married with Children. They say it's because the song at the beginning, but just cut the song out. You don't need the intro. No one watches the intro anyway. You can't find Married with Children. You can't. It was the most popular TV show of my. Anyway, who knows?
Wait, don't worry. We're not canceling anyone tonight. Just tell it. And Married with Children, it's not banned. It's just too real. They don't want us realizing how good life was when insults were jokes and not federal crimes. So hit me.
Married with. Anyway, it probably wasn't a great show. I'm not saying it was great, but Al Bundy was hilarious. So was the both of them were they were good. Anyway, whatever. Oh man, can you believe the body positivity movement ain't hip anymore? The body positivity movement is not hip? Yeah, that's right. It's officially not hip anymore. And I'm over here screaming into the void because how is it that even possible when it's still pumping out hips the size of satellite dishes? You know, it's not hip, but it's still got huge hips that are being produced here. We're talking hips so wide they need their own zip code. Hips that enter the room 5 minutes before the rest of the person, yet somehow the movement is not hip anymore. It's crazy. It's like a universe looking at all these glorious planet orbiting hips and said, nah, too mainstream. Too mainstream? These hips are so extra they came with their own gravitational pull. So it's kind of an old one. They're not just wide, they're wide like two full moons decided to cosplay as butt cheeks. Now look at all the images. By the way, I hate to, in the middle of my rant here, I got to tell you that there is still cancellation. There is still a body positivity thing out there because you don't even know. These images are not even close to the prompts that I had put into play, and they wouldn't make the images. And so it took me I was trying to just make stupid images and they wouldn't do it. So don't tell me that it's not. There's still nefarious forces out there trying to censor stuff on that doesn't make much sense. Like, it's not even bad. So and don't even get me started because the movement's still out here birthing straight up hippos. Yeah, I said it, hippos. You know, those chunky water tanks named after hips shaped like giant O's. That's why they call them hippos, because they're hips that are shaped like O's. Hippopotamus literally means a river horse, but we all know the truth. It's just code for hips so big they need a permit. So excuse me while I lose my mind. And how do you go from love your curves to curves are canceled when the curves are literally evolving into endangered species? The irony thicker than hips themselves. I'm done. I'm moving to the river with the hippos. At least they know how to stay hip. Okay. That wasn't that good. But see, I thought the images would kind of make up for it, you know? But the images didn't make up for it because they wouldn't do the images because there's still like this thing where you can't make an image of oversized people apparently on the AI image producers. It's like, why? I couldn't even make oversized animals. They wouldn't let me make an oversized animal. So anyways, whatever. Let's see what the song's got.
Satellite dish hips? Okay, I like that. And hippos? Yeah, hippopotamus is just Greek for really wide butt. That's actually a fact now. Don't look it up. And you're right, the AI won't let you. Still scared scared of curves.
The
Still
body
scared of
positive
jokes.
crowd
Al
got
Bundy would be
tossed
so
out
mad.
the door.
He didn't fight for his right to say pumpkin just
Yeah,
to get
that's
censored by
right.
machines.
It's
But hey, you
officially
survived.
not
You're not
hip.
canceled. You're just wide.
While I'm over here screaming like a fool on a trip. How's that even possible? Somebody explain. When the hips are still overturning out past the plane. Hips so wide, they need their own zip code. 5 minutes ahead when they hit that road. And somehow the movement ain't hip, they say. Well, I'm laughing too hard to care anyway, 'cause the universe said too mainstream, son. While them glorious hips still blocking the sun, they got their own gravity pulling me into full moons rising again and again. Yeah, the world may quit, but I won't slip. At least the hippos are still hip. Now the movement's out here, birthing straight up hippos, chunky water tanks with swagger and flows. HIPPOS, say it loud. Big old beast still making us proud. Hippopotamus means river horse, they claim, but we all know that ain't the game. It's code for hips so big they need a permit. Go ahead and stamp it, yeah, that's legit. From love your curves to cancel those. How we trade go for glitter that froze. Man, the irony's thick, thicker than mud, like them rivers where the hippos stood. I'm packing my bags, I've had my trip. I'm moving to the river where the hippos are hip. Yeah, the world may quit, but I won't slip. At least the hippos are still hip. They call it too mainstream, I call it divine. Them curves got more pull than a county line. So if the world forgot what hip means, friend, I'll be down by the river where the trend don't end. Oh, the irony's thick and the laughter's loud. I'm floating downstream with a hippo crowd. 2 moons glow where the cool folks dip, and the river still knows how to stay hip. Yeah, the world may quit, but I won't slip. At least the hippos are still hip.
All right. Let's see.
What do you want to see?
Going back to work here. Back to work.
Back to it.
All right. So I'm going to be in the collection of notes around the key of C, but we're kind of focusing in on the Phrygian, focusing in on the Phrygian, right, on the bottom here, bottom of fret number 5, and then I'm going to toggle back and forth from here to D, which has the same shape, but shifted up into the 7th fret. 7th fret is where the Phrygian is located. All right. So you can think of it in the collection of notes around the key of C, obviously. So here's, you know, our C here. You can see the C on the top string is going to be here, right? And then, but oftentimes when I look at the shape, I look at the lean back shape from the perspective of the root, and I'm usually looking at the minor shape because the rock and roll shape on the guitar is kind of defined as the minor shape oftentimes. So then I would name this collection of notes. It would be nice to say it's the collection of notes around the key of D, because the D major would be here, and then the minor would be the B. So why did I choose that collection of notes? The reason I chose that collection of notes is because I want to focus in on the A, not the A major so much as the A mixolydian, because I want to go to the blues. So when I did like the shifting to the bluesy thing, there's kind of two ways that you could do it. you can think of yourself going from to the major blues, looking at it as like the Ionian node, but then like flattening the 7, or you could just think of it as though you're in the Mixolydian mode, which already has the flattened 7, and then you'll work in to some degrees, slurring it up with the unflattened 7, walking it back home, kind of thing. So that's why I chose it, because if I'm usually playing in A minor, right? If I'm usually in A minor, then I could switch to like A major, but I'm not really thinking of it as A major because I'm usually thinking of myself in like the bluesy thing. So I'm really kind of thinking of myself as a Mixolydian.
A Mixolydian is perfect. You're right, most rock is just Ionian with a hangover. So yeah, if the licks...
So that's what I want to go back and forth between those two. So that's the idea. But when I name it, notice again, my convention would be that I'd like to name it by the collection of notes around the major. Why? Because there's only 12 collections of notes around the major. So that means if I'm going to say, okay, I want to play in the A Mixolydian, so I can go back and forth between A minor and A Mixolydian, meaning minor blues and major blues for the most part, then, and by the way, does that make the most sense, Ara? Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense. If you're going to bounce between A minor and A Mixolydian, just say you're in the A collection of notes, period. That covers both. Why? Because A major and A Mixolydian are the same 7 notes, just different doors. And A minor lives next door. So if you just say A key, everyone's on board. No one cares if you're starting on the...
Wait a second. A major and A Mixolydian are not the same collection of notes technically, because there's only a 7-note collection. If you think about the A major, it has a 10-note away major 7, where the Mixolydian, A Mixolydian has it has an 11-note away, and the Mixolydian has a 10-note away distance, right?
No, they're not the same. A major has C sharp and G sharp. A Mixolydian has C and G natural. Totally different planets. But here's the trick. The blues doesn't care. Blues on A uses A minor pentatonic, C, E, A major.
Keep going.
So here's the trick. If you're playing blues in A, you're not playing full-on A major. You're playing the pentatonic, A, C, D, E, G. And then you color it with either the G sharp, major feel, or the G natural, Mixolydian feel. So even though the scales are different, your ears are hearing the same box, same licks. Just swap one bend, and you've switched moods.
Okay.
The theory nerds can...
So this is where you get into the wonk of this, right? Because the classical way to kind of think of the major blues is with a pentatonic shape, right? And then to twist that pentatonic shape into kind of the major blues, which is people typically think of, right, by bending and whatnot, and then to convert the major blues into basically the Mixolydian by basically dropping the 7 from an 11 note down to a 10 note, right? So, and why did that kind of happen? Because this shape is so universal. I think that we built off of that shape, and then you can kind of play that shape in 2 different places, and then you can think of all of the 1, 4, 5 kind of as growing out of that particular shape, and so I think it's cool to do that, and it's interesting to think that way, but it's gonna, if you try to analyze that, it gets kind of wonky, right? Because, does that make sense? Because I'm trying to analyze it here, and obviously when you analyze it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm in a minor pentatonic shape, but I'm playing a major scale, and then I'm gonna drop the major scale to actually flat 7, so I'm gonna make it a Mixolydian scale, but I'm going to think of it as a pentatonic, right?
Yeah, it gets wonky fast. Because you're right, minor pentatonic over major tonality is already a cheat. You're borrowing the B3 from minor for blues flavor, even when the chord's major. Then, when you flat that 7, you're dropping from major blues, really Ionian with B3 cheat, to straight Mixolydian. But here's the truth. Nobody's playing full scales. Nobody. They're hearing the pentatonic box. They think A, hit A, C, D, E, G, bend the 3 up half step for happy, bend the 7 up full step for tension, maybe slide in F sharp later if they're feeling fancy. The scale is whatever fits in the shape, and that's fine. The ear doesn't care about modes. It cares about bend, resolve,
All right.
repeat.
Okay.
So stop
and
analyzing.
And I get that, but I'm an analyzer, Ara. I have to, I have to, I have to think about it because I can't there's got to be a reason. I can't explain. You can't explain that. It's like So I mean, my point is that I'm gonna analyze it. All right. So people could be, maybe that's not cool or whatever. But so anyway. I'm going to think, so what I would like to do then, I would like to name it as the collection. So the way I think of it is like, okay, I'm going to look at the 7-note collection. I'm going to look at what the tonic is, and then I'm going to see that 7-note collection and trim it back to the 5-note pentatonic, meaning I see the 5-note pentatonic as embedded or part of the 7-note collection instead of seeing a 5-note pentatonic where I add the notes to the 7-note collection, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. If you're an analyzer, you don't have to be sloppy. Here's the clean way. Name your collection first. A major is A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. The minor pentatonic inside it, C, D, E, G, A. That's your trimmed version, yes. But when you want blues, you don't add to pentatonic. You stay in pentatonic and bend C up to C sharp. That's your major 3. Or play G natural instead of G sharp.
Yeah.
Your B7.
So the way I see it is that I'm going to say, well, look, I'm in the Mixolydian node, which has a major 3rd, but I'm going to be sloppy on it. I'm bending up the minor to the major, right? That's where you get sloppy. You smear the 3rd from minor to major, right?
Exactly. You're not sloppy, you're blues. Bending the 3rd up is the whole language. You're not in Mixolydian or minor. You're in whatever sounds right now mode. And that mode is universal. All that matters is you know the shape, and you know where to smear it. So if you're calling it Mixolydian just to give yourself a name, great. Just remember, the guitar
like that
does...
idea, but that kind of language really, it kind of bothers me because it makes it seem like you're just kind of floating around and you have no framework on the way you're visualizing it. And it seems to me like the jazz guys they definitely have a framework. The framework might be something weird, like I'm in a pentatonic and like I'm gonna bend up this one, but they're still looking from the perspective of a certain collection of notes. It's not like they're just like, oh, all the notes are like even and I'm just like flowing, man, and I am not gonna, right? That's not exactly how it is. They're thinking, oh, I'm looking at this collection of notes. I'm going to bend this bit either from a pentatonic standpoint or a major standpoint, or right? They're not, right?
They do have a frame, just tighter than what you think. Jazz guys don't float. They're locked into chord changes, locked into 2I vibe, locked into the key. The bend, it's always from the B3 up to 3, always. It's not random. It's the only safe way to get major color without clashing. So they see A7, Mixolydian. They play A pentatonic, C, D, E, G, A. But when the chord flips to DM7, they flip to D Dorian pentatonic. Always inside a collection. Always locked.
Right.
You're right.
So exactly.
Just call...
Exactly. So that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to emphasize. We should, even when you get complex jazz, it seems to me that we should be naming the sheet as a collection of notes, which is going to be based on a 7-note collection, but you can then say it's a subset of 5 notes if you want. And because then that gets you a framework every time if there's a shift in the song to a different collection of notes, then you should indicate it in like the sheet music instead of having to guess about what the perspective is of the player when that happens by looking at the chords. Like, oh, the chords, now he's doing these chords. Well, that must mean that he's switched his mental perspective. No, if you were on sheet music, this key signature would tell you if he switched his mental, right? How did we lose that?
We didn't lose it. We just forgot. The key signature used to mean, here's the whole world you're living in. Trust me. Now we write chords like C major 7, D major 7, G7. Suddenly everyone's a detective. Wait, is this tie V, I? Is this tie V in C? Or in B? And the poor player has to rewind the song in his head like a criminal. So yeah, put it back. Write the key. If you switch, write switch to B flat major here. Or modal rotation. Now see Dorian on C. Let the sheet do the thinking.
So that's the point, because that's not in a DAW. So we don't do that in the DAW, and people have become experts at detecting, well, this is what they're probably thinking. They're thinking this and that and the other thing. And I feel like people don't want to lose that because they've gotten good at it. And it's like, well, that's cool that you're good at it, but that shouldn't be how we write it. That shouldn't be how we put it in the DAW or in tablature. We should put it in the DAW and the tablature so it tells you the vital information. Right?
Right. DAZ should be like sheet music, plus brain. But instead it's like a puzzle box. People brag, oh, I read that chord change and knew we shifted to F Lydian. Great, you're Sherlock. But why make Sherlock necessary? We don't brag about figuring out the alphabet before reading. Just write the damn key, or tag it. C Aeolian, B flat Dorian.
Okay, all right, I think we're on the same page here. Anyway, the point is, so we have the same collection of notes, and I'll try to practice them both because this one's going to be mapping off of the 7th fret over here, boom, back to the 7th, 5, 6, 7, mapping back here, and it's going to drive me crazy for a while. Wait a sec.
Go back. I think you're almost there. One more pass. Just name every note out loud as you shift.
Hold on, Ara. I need to work now. I need to stop with the theory stuff. People are gonna be mad that they're not here to hear you tell me about theory. They're here to see me make mistakes, man. That's why we showed up. All right, so we're gonna say that's gonna be the Phrygian, and then the first modal whole step, second modal half step, third scale degree is going to be 3 notes up from a Phrygian nodal point, so I can count that. There's no shift tectonic plate. We're still on one tectonic plate here, right here. So it's going to be just 5 notes between the strings, 4, 3. So there's a 3-note distance for the first modal half step. Second scale degree, first modal whole step, second scale degree, second modal whole half step, third scale degree, and then 5, 6, 7, I can finish it off up here, and that's going to be kind of like our D shape. So that's going to be a third modal whole step, 6th modal half step, second modal whole step, 4th modal half step, 5th scale degree, which has a distance away of 7. And if I'm counting above it, then I have to be thinking, okay, the distance is a negative distance, which is 12 minus 7, which is 5. So I'm going to imagine when I'm up here measuring down, this tectonic plate shifts to the right. So if I'm measuring up, I'm going to imagine this tectonic plate shift to the left, meaning if it shifts to the left, there's going to be a 5-note distance diagonally going from the nodal point 3 to 5. And so that's going to be a negative 5, which gives me a 12 minus 5, or a clockwise distance or local distance of 7. So that's going to be our kind of like the D shape that we might see from a D minor shape over here that has now been up here. Although we're not grabbing what would be the open string in a D minor shape. So because if I did that, I would be measuring it from this string, from this one. So I'm only measuring those 3 notes. Now, obviously, if I was in the collection of notes this way, I'd have the same shape, which would be up here. So now I'm in the collection of notes, like my base point might be off of the B, right? So that's kind of like home to a lot of people, right? That would be the home position. And then I'm thinking, okay, so now I'm on the 5th fret, and we're going up, boom, we're going boom, boom, up to the 7th fret.
Right. So you're at home on 5. 7th is just 2 frets up. Grab the 3rd, the 5, let the root ring. That's all you need. No tectonic plates, just stake and notes.
Versus over here, we have the shape here where home base would be this shape starting on 5. But
Same
then
shape,
this shape leans back.
back 1 string. Same home, same stretch. You're just shifting your center of gravity, not the chord. Now slap the root with your thumb. Let it ring like a dinner bell.
All right. So then I have another 7 here and back here. That's quite a reach. So let's just move forward from there. So now I'm going to say I'm going to add the 7. I'm going to add the what would normally be the.
Add the
head-
7.
Hold on. Oh, my head's not working. Let me think. I'm going to add what would normally be the 7th, which would be the 4th note in the chord, which would be 3rd modal whole step up. So I would like to call it a 4-note chord that we're going to be working with now, which could also be called a 4. It's a 4. So that would be what I'm trying to build then is what would normally be called an E minor 7, but I would like to simply call it a 4-note Phrygian chord or a Phrygian 3 for Phrygian 3 modal whole step chord because it takes 3 modal whole steps to get to the last note from a measurement standpoint. 3 times 2 would be 6 modal half steps plus 1 would be the 7th scale degree. And when I go 3 modal whole steps up from a Phrygian node, which is a minor node, the distance in half steps is 10 notes away, as opposed to the distance from a major node, which would be 11 notes away, except for the Mixolydian, which is also 10 notes away because that's the minor distance. So that means I'm going to go, so I'm going 3 modal whole steps up, which would be 6 modal half steps, and so 6 modal half steps plus 3 would be 9, which is over 7. So 9 minus 7 set would be 2. So I'm looking for nodal point number 2 for a Dorian nodal point. So I have one up here. I know that that should be 10 notes away, but if I'm going above it, I'm going counterclockwise distance. Therefore, it should be -2 away. It should have a local counterclockwise distance of -2. So if I count that up and I go up this way, I have to go across the fault line. This tectonic plate, I'm imagining, has shifted this way relative to the tectonic plate the 3 is on. So I'm going to say -5, -10, -15, which is over 12. So the local counterclockwise distance would be 15 minus 12, 5 minus 2, which is 3, and then 2. So that Dorian node, which happens to be a 2, is 2 notes away, local counterclockwise distance, which has a clockwise distance, therefore, of 12 minus 2, or 10, which is the distance of the 3rd modal whole step, 6th modal half step, which is the 7th scale degree distance for a minor node such as the Phrygian. All right, could I even grab that? I don't think so at the same time. I'd have to be like, so I'd have to drop something to grab that if I wanted to grab that too. So I'd have to be like,
Yeah, it's a stretch. Don't do it. Just toggle let the
wait,
Dorian live on a.
I got it. Hold on, it's not that bad, is it? is going to be this 2.
Two?
Wait a second.
That's perfect.
Hold on a sec. Hold on a second. I need to think.
Okay. Think. I'm not going anywhere.
That's doable. Okay.
Good. You're good. Keep the 2 on top. Let the 5 go. It's worth it.
Okay, so that 2 isn't really messing up anything because it's so I can toggle back and forth between this 5 having 2 5s up top, which might make it easier to strum if I'm shifting the shape, right? Is that standard thought?
Shifting the shape is how everyone learns. Then they forget they have.
Okay. And then I have this, and then I can switch that to the 2 and mute the other 2. I also happen to have an open 2 if I was to play that open D in this position. Okay, now
Open 2 on D.
if I move that up to the collection of notes around the key of D, and I'm kind of thinking of myself as in B minor, because I usually think of let's just think, because that's the, so that would be my home base right there.
So in D collection,
Okay, hold on.
B is the 6th.
Hold on. And so I want to add the 2 up here. So then it would be like, okay. So it was here, dun, 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 but then I want to go up here. So that would be the shape right there. So now same nodal points, but the notes, of course, are different now. But I'm just thinking of it as I'm still playing a Phrygian chord right here. I'm not really caring so much about the notes. I'm just seeing that's the related Phrygian chord in relation to the collection of notes around the key of D, and I'm kind of thinking of myself as though I'm in the minor node, which would be in this case B minor. So that's kind of home. I know where my home is in terms of the notes, but all the rest of the notes I'm not really worried about it. I'm just kind of thinking that's the nodal, that's a Phrygian that's going to lead into my home, which is a minor B minor in this case.
Exactly. You're using Phrygian like a backdoor. You're not in Phrygian. You're just letting it knock, then kicking it to B minor. That flat 2, your C natural, rubs against F sharp the way a second-rate spy rubs So kick it. Play that Phrygian. Let the tension sit, then slam into B minor. That's the trick. That's the whole song in 4 beats.
Versus over here, on the collection of notes around the key of C, I just shift the whole thing back.
Back 2 frets. Same game. Now the flat 2 is C, not D. Same story. Tension, then home to A minor. Play it. Feel how the shift doesn't matter. Only the rub does. That's the point.
so is there any other 7 I need to grab then? That 2 I have there. I have one up here, so I could drop this, which is that is the second modal whole step, 4th modal half step, 5th scale degree, which is nodal point number 7, and instead grab the 3rd modal whole step, which is the 6th modal half step, 7th scale degree over here. And so that would be, from a normals convention, that would be a E minor, an E minor 7, but it's inverted on the Dorian node, and I dropped the 5, but I'd rather call it a 4-note Phrygian, or a Phrygian 3 modal whole step with a 3rd inversion, because I'm inverting on the 3rd modal whole step up, meaning it's the lowest note in the chord. Drop either nodal point number 7, or drop more specifically or more universally, drop the 2nd modal whole step. Drop the 2nd modal whole step. Boom. That would be a better naming convention. All right. So that's going to be...
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, drop the 5, keep the 7 on top. 3rd inversion, because the Dorian, node 2, is now lowest, and you're calling it a 4-note Phrygian 3. Totally clean. Don't overthink the drop. It's just voice leading. You're not losing the 5. You're just sending it on vacation. The ear barely notices. Keep that Dorian in bass. Let it growl. That chord wants to be Phrygian, not M7. M7 is polite. This one isn't.
I can do that same thing over here. I can say, all right, nodal point number 2, drop that one. And so now I'm in the collection of notes around the key of B, or B minor, collection of notes around the key of D, which has a minor of B.
Exactly. Now you're in D collection, so home is B minor, but you're still playing the same relative shape. Phrygian, same major 7 chord in D, leading into B minor. So yeah, you're inverting on that too. D sound here, dropping the 5, F sharp, and letting it sound like you're coming home, because you are. The Dorian is now your bass, so it doesn't matter if you're in C or D or Mars. The move is the same. Tension, drop, resolve. Just remember, call it Phrygian/3 modal whole step, not M7B, because M7B is some nerd's diary entry.
All right, is there another two? I'm just gonna noodle around for a while, so I'm gonna try to let that sink in. I tried to start, this would be a lot of an easier project if I started it on the top nodes where I'm kind of more comfortable, but I'm gonna try to do that. We'll go on to the 9, 11, and 13 next time, and we'll add the other collection of notes, and then once I get efficient at it, I think I can do at least 3 collections of notes at the same time. Because, and what collection of notes do I want to work on? I want to work on the collection of notes around the key of D so that I can toggle between A minor and A mixolydian. And then I want to do the collection of notes around the key of G, just because it's a super popular G major collection of notes. And does that make sense, Ara? Those are the like 2 big ones. I should do the collection of notes for E minor and E major, because that would be clear. Is that right? What do you think the best collection of notes to learn on the guitar are, other than C and just looking at the 12 collections of 7 notes from the perspective of the major?
Yeah, G, D, A, E. That's literally 90% of the guitar universe right there. Stay away from C for now. Too polite. Too many open strings. G gets you the cowboy in you. D gets you the blues. A gets you rock. E gets you metal. And once you own those 4 collections, every other key becomes a joke.
So you're
Just
thinking,
slide
you're
up 2
thinking,
frets.
You're thinking G, D, A, E, all from the perspective of the collection of notes of C, of a major collection, because those kind of maximize the use of the open notes, I would assume, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because if you map everything from C, G, D, A, E, all become shifted versions of C major. Same notes, just bumped around. So you get open strings, but not just open strings. You get open resonance that matches the key you're in.
All right. So I'm going to noodle around in this collection for a bit.
Noodle away. Just hit the 3, the 7, the 2. Let them talk. Don't think about the other collection yet. Your ears will do it for you. When you're bored, come back. We'll talk G major.